Look at a $2 million property. The upkeep, taxes, and daily maintenance easily consume $5,000 a month. Contrast that physical burden with a simple, quiet asset that pays you a predictable $500 a month, clear and free. Most people spend their lives stretching their income to capture the massive house. They end up locked into a defensive position, constantly feeding an expensive system. Acquiring predictable inbound cash, on the other hand, buys back your time. This diagram shows the standard formula for net worth. It calculates the total value of everything you own, minus everything you owe to an external lender. You are left with a single, static ledger number. That final number tells you exactly where you are on the economic map today. It tells you where you sit, but nothing about how fast you can maneuver, or whether your infrastructure can survive a sudden financial shock. When you measure your success solely by paper net worth, you optimize for a metric that looks impressive to retail banks while remaining trapped in a highly rigid structure. This chart illustrates generational U.S. wealth accumulation. By age 35, baby boomers captured roughly 21% of total wealth. For Gen X at the same age, that rate plummeted to 9%, and for millennials, it crashed to a microscopic 6%. Despite having higher baseline salaries and massive gains in software productivity, younger demographics are beginning their wealth-building journey with significantly less equity, starting at a massive disadvantage compared to their parents. This pie chart shows the composition of typical household wealth. For about 80% of the population, the net worth they see on their balance sheet is almost entirely illiquid. It is locked away and untouchable. That locked wealth is made up of exactly two things: the equity trapped inside the primary house they sleep in, and restricted corporate retirement pools, like a 401k or a legacy pension. You cannot legally slice off a corner of your living room to cover a sudden medical bill. And if you try to pull cash out of your 401k before you hit old age limits, you trigger wealth-eroding government penalty fees. Unless your wealth is actively accessible as liquid net worth, you are merely financing a very expensive savings account that you cannot leverage without personal disruption. Cash flow tracks the absolute volume of money actively moving through your life. It is the real inbound deposits hitting your checking account, minus the precise outbound overhead expenses required to maintain your living infrastructure. Data from the Bank of America Institute shows that 20% of households clearing over $150,000 a year live completely paycheck to paycheck. The income enters, their lifestyle expenses instantly consume it, and their liquid capital remains at zero. Commanding a consistent positive cash flow fixes this structural vulnerability. When your assets generate a yield that exceeds your overhead, you detach your location from a corporate office, giving you the ability to operate remotely from anywhere on Earth. But reviewing high-stakes contracts or executing cross-border asset transfers from public network nodes in places like Tokyo or Paris exposes your capital to immediate interception. NordVPN operates as the structural shield for that data. With a single click, it establishes an encrypted tunnel, masking your IP coordinates and locking down your financial transactions from external threats. You can secure your perimeter right now by going to nordvpn.com/themoneyformula to capture an exclusive 4 months extra on a 2-year plan, entirely backed by a 30-day money-back guarantee. The physical freedom of a remote life is a major milestone, but it remains fragile if the digital systems managing your income are left unhedged and exposed. Building a secure financial machine requires climbing a specific 5-step ladder. Step 1 is active labor sourcing. You initially trade your biological time for a linear salary, which mathematically caps your earning capacity at 24 hours a day. Step 2 is widening the spread. After your rent, food, and logistics are paid, whatever cash remains is your margin. This is your seed capital. This graph demonstrates lifestyle inflation. As active income scales up, the middle class tends to automatically scale their liabilities, buying larger houses and newer cars, ensuring their margin spread always remains at exactly zero. Step 3 is reinvesting into income-generating assets. You take whatever margin you have protected and deploy it into vehicles like dividend stocks or private real estate, assets that produce yield without your physical labor. Step 4 is systematizing that inbound income. You actively remove your human capital from the loop, by hiring property managers, automating ETF contributions, and delegating operations so the machine runs on its own. Finally, step 5 is tool system coupling. This is the precise mathematical threshold where your automated, non-active cash flow permanently exceeds your lifestyle burn rate. Once you cross that threshold, human labor transitions from a survival requirement into a choice. For decades, the narrative was to work for 40 years, stockpile a fraction of your paycheck, and then live off a static savings principle in old age. That narrative is a mathematical myth. Look at the data from the Federal Reserve. For Americans aged 55 to 64, the median retirement account balance is just $185,000. At the same time, the Bureau of Labor Statistics confirms that the average retiree household consumes approximately $52,000 a year to maintain basic living infrastructure. Do the division. Even if a highly disciplined individual manages to secure a $500,000 savings block, that capital provides less than a decade of survival runway against normal expenses. Relying on a static pile of cash to outlast an unpredictable, decades-long lifespan is a path to total liquidation. Modern survival requires understanding your burn rate. It is the exact currency required to keep your lifestyle running for a rolling 30-day window. A $600,000 vault with a $4,000 monthly burn rate drains to zero in 12.5 years. But add a system generating $3,500 a month. The new $500 deficit stretches that exact savings block into a century of runway. You have a choice. Keep hoarding dead paper cash and hope you don't outlive your ledger, or begin engineering a recurring cash flow architecture today. Hit the subscribe button and drop the word future in the comments to lock in your commitment to building true structural wealth. Net worth tracks how wealthy you look to the public, but liquid cash flow dictates your absolute freedom.